Hello everybody, welcome to take 2 of Boiling Frogs and the Conga, which is a book I'm writing for children at the moment. I hope you enjoy it. Like I say, it's take 2. Take 1 was a bit too fast, so I'm going to say it slow. A lot of my friends live in different countries and they like me to speak slow, so here we go. Chapter 1 of Boiling Frogs and the Conga. Rabbit, said Frank, the frog, which was a bit weird because rabbits should go ribbit, and surely frogs should go frog, or something like that. But he didn't. He said ribbit, and his froggy friend Felix replied, ribbit. Now, perhaps I'd better translate from here because maybe you can't speak froggish. It will make it easy for you, and I'm sure you don't want to miss what these frogs are croaking, because boy, have these frogs got a croak for you. Now these little creatures, they are frogs. It's true, and frogs just usually jump around, but I may move them as humans too because you don't know froggish. And not only do we talk with our mouths, you see, but we talk with our bodies too. Oh, there are so many ways to talk. Did you know babies only learn how to talk so they can communicate in parentish? Because the parents don't know babish. Once there were parents who did speak babish, and the baby only spoke babish. The baby taught it all it knew, and it knew everything. Why the trees were green, why there was such a thing as good and bad, and why God made mosquitoes. There are no mosquitoes in this book, you'll be pleased to learn. So far, just 2 frogs, Frank and Felix. Ribbit, said Frank. Are you not hot in there? Replied Felix, grinning. Chapter 2. What do you mean, are you hot in there? I said, stay safe, said Frank. The frog said, ribbit initially. I am safe, but are you in there? Said Felix. In where? In that boiling water. What boiling water? Now, Frank wasn't in any boiling water, really, not physically. So don't paint the wrong picture. Now the adults are thinking, oh yeah, we know the boiling frog story. And kids, they do. But most of them are like the frogs in the boiling water, even though that they know the story. It's weird, really, I know, but it will become clear. Frank the frog, like the humans reading about the frog, was not in any water. So he was puzzled. What on earth is my friend Felix on about? He's been chewing on the wrong plants, maybe, thought Frank, because there are different plants which have different powers. It's true, in real life too. Your mum might have told you, your Brussels sprouts are good for you. Well, how is that when they taste so bad? You think, well, I used to think that. But she knew the power of the Brussels sprout. Now, kids, I can tell you from here that the power in the Brussels sprout does not merit the pain induced by having to eat them. It's not worth it. They are simply not that powerful. Like you were going to become tennis champion or something. No, that's a trick. Don't buy it. Do what I did when I was young. Order mashed potatoes. Then, when your mum isn't looking, maybe you can drop a spoon or something near her legs. And when she picks it up, hide the Brussels sprouts under the mashed potatoes. Then eat what you want, and your mum will say, and then you say, Mum, I can't finish. And she sees you've eaten all your Brussels sprouts. Maybe in that moment she thinks you are going to be world champion, whatever, and she says, good lad, you ate your Brussels, go and play. And you run off out of the house to the park and your mum sweeps the hidden Brussels into the bin. True story. Don't tell your parents I told you this. Don't tell your parents I told you this. When you are old, it will be a funny story, and all the family will laugh about it at Christmases when they're wearing little coloured hats. You have to be a bit naughty, or you won't have any good stories. Your naughty stories should be sweet. No one wants to hear about how you killed a bat and play table tennis with it. No, I never did that. Don't you do it either. Trickety-trot, back to the plot. Yeah, the frog was thinking, did my friend Felix eat some Brussels sprouts or something? And it made him cuckoo. Not like cuckoo, really, like a cuckoo frog, if you know what I mean. Frank jumped into his cool pool. It wasn't hot, it was cool, he thought. The moon was nearly full. It was beautiful, shooting rays through the trees onto dancing water, a circle of circles all running out to the edge of the pond. There was an owl out. His head spun around, noticing Felix hop off down a muddy human walkway and into the reeds. The owl didn't like the day. There were too many crazy animals all hunting each other at the same time, they all thought. Owl liked the moon, liked the cool breeze, liked the power to echo his own voice across fields without a noisy magpie breaking up the play of that echo. He didn't like the frogs all singing together easy. They disturbed him. And I think what disturbed him the most was the happiness of the frogs. Well, when they all sang together, the owl devised a plan. So the owl devised a plan. Now, I don't know if you know, but owls eat frogs. Not all the time, sometimes. Even some humans have been known to eat frogs, but for sure owls do, sometimes. The owl had been very friendly to the frogs of late. He told the frogs, "I won't eat you. In fact, I want to help you. There is a deadly frog virus at the moment. If you come out at night, you will turn blue and die. So stay inside," he said. "Stay in your pond. Don't come out at night. And at the weekends, don't come out at all, or you will turn blue and die." Now, kids, if someone who eats you tells you they want to help you, you're wise to be a little suspicious. But these frogs had reason to believe the owl. You see, every day he brought dead blue frogs to the ponds. The frogs called to each other saying, "Stay in your ponds at night. The owl is right. Frogs are turning blue and dying." Why didn't the owl, who eats frogs sometimes, not eat the frogs that were blue? Well, here's the thing. The owl wanted to show how incredibly kind and good he was, which, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, gentle girls, gentle boys, or any person not so gentle, this is most probably a sign that he wasn't incredibly kind or incredibly good at all. Time passed. Days became weeks, and weeks, as they do, became months. The frogs were getting used to staying in their pond and not going out at night. And because they were staying in and not going out, the frogs also stopped singing. But at least they were safe. Their water was cool, at least they were still green and alive. One day Felix hopped over to Frank's pond and said, "I think you had better come with me, froggy friend. Come with me to old Fresco Frog's pond." "That's beyond the forest," said Frank. "We shouldn't go there. Frogs are turning blue and dying. They are on a high alert. They cannot even leave their pond at all." I heard. "That's right," said Felix. "You should come with me and see that pond. I went last night." "You went last night? The owl will be angry." "If the owl is so kind and helpful, why should he be angry?" said Felix. "Don't you know owls eat frogs sometimes?" "Yes, well, good night, Felix. Now you stay safe." And with that, Frank Frog hopped into his pond again. There were no moon rays this evening, no dancing circles to be witnessed, just the sound of silence, and well, it was quite boring. Now, young readers, these frogs didn't have iPhones, so Felix could have filmed the other pond, put it on Instagram, Snapchat, and all the people would see that what he wanted to show them. But you see, filmmakers can make anything look real these days, so still nobody would believe you. Therefore, my frogs didn't have iPhones. They could have iPhones because I am humanizing them. But you see, in 400 years' time, maybe people won't know what iPhones are. Maybe there is no technology at all, and only frogs and ponds exist. So how would the people of the future understand the story? What? Of course iPhones will exist 400 years' time? Well, it's my story. And these frogs were like me, and they didn't like iPhones very much. So they simply didn't have them. And they didn't care, because they didn't know they didn't have them, because they are just book story frogs with no power to make the story how they wanted. Plus, stories are better without iPhones. It sounds weird, but trust me on this one. So, iPhoneless and bored, Frank was getting tired of staying in, tired of not visiting his friends, tired of not singing. How he missed the choruses of yesterday, those jam sessions. But it was quiet. If you sang, the other frogs would say, "Hey, why are you singing when frogs are turning blue and dying everywhere?" But Frank never saw any blue and dying frogs, except the ones the owl brought over. One day Felix hopped by again. "Hey, Frank, the offer still stands. You should really come with me." "No," said Frank, but he knew he meant yes. "Come," said Felix. And they hopped into the evening mist beyond the imaginary boundaries set up by the kind and caring owl. "Frog," said a frog, as our frog friends hopped into worlds beyond his own little world where he had sheltered the past months. Down lanes, through orchards, over brooks, across streams, and past many faithful green friends. "Frog!" Frank thought to himself. Why do humans say we say ribbit when quite obviously we go frog? Many thoughts rushed through his mind, some more important than others. Why were frogs saying nice to see you, thought Frank. What was so nice about it? I'm just a frog hopping in the dark. "Frog, I missed you," croaked another frog. Was it Night of the Happy Frog or something? An ancient tradition that our parents hadn't told us about? We haven't seen many frogs. Only the odd blue frog dropped into our pond, but that has nearly stopped too. But no one is singing, so we thought all the frogs were dead. So we are happy to see you, croaked the frogs in the other pond. Felix smiled. See? All the family of frogs are only unhappy because they think they are alone. Come, bounce with me. And they bounced on. The amphibian friends made it to a large pond Frank had never seen before. It was misty, like one of those Michael Jackson videos in the human world. Frank noticed a large fat owl on the branches to the right of him, and he hopped in the pond. Splash! Ow! Splashed Frank. Frank jumped in and, almost hopping on top of the water, jumped straight back out with a shock. "What?" cried Frank. "Hot water?" The mist wasn't mist at all, after all. It was steam. "What are you doing in the water?" asked Frank as he noticed other frogs swimming lazily in the steaming bath. "If we go out, we might turn blue and die. The kind owl has told us to stay in for a month, and then the problem will go away." "That was 2 months ago," exclaimed Felix. "It's boiling! Get out!" cried Frank. "It's no use," explained Felix. "They won't leave." "But they will die! What's going on?" "Follow me and be quiet." Frank followed Felix, feeling a bit nervous, as if he were part of some action-adventure book or something. Felix hopped into a hole. "What are you doing?" asked Frank. "Shh," said Felix. In Froggish, of course. "No green frog is allowed down these holes," said Felix. "What do you mean, green frog?" inquired Frank. "Only orange frogs are allowed down here." Jim had heard of orange frogs. Frank had heard of orange frogs, but never seen one before. "I bet you never seen one before," said Felix. Now you are going to see where they are." Indeed, the frogs made their way through a tunnel, which opened up into a cave. There were many tunnels leading different ways. There was a whole complex of tunnels and caves, and as Felix and Frank quietly poised and positioned themselves behind a couple of rocks, they witnessed, Frank for the first time, orange frogs, oranger than oranges. "What are they doing?" asked Frank. "Making fires," replied Felix. "Shh! Why? They are boiling the ponds, and the frogs as green frogs," realized Frank. A bunch of emotions rushed over him: shock, anger, confusion, disbelief, fear, clarity, knowledge, relief, all contradicting. Frank needed to sit down, but he was a frog, so he just carried on squatting in froggy position, and he breathed in and out slowly. "Listen to me now," said Felix. "I have been trying to explain to you for months, but you wouldn't listen." "I thought you were crazy," said Jim. Frank, he was Jim before. "I guess I'm sorry." "No problem," said Felix. "Just pleased that the thick wax of obstinateness, ignorance had melted in Jim's ears. Not literally, of course. Gross. The orange frogs, Felix began to explain, made a deal with the owl. Frank opened a packet of popcorn. Not literally, of course. The owl told the orange frogs that he would never eat them if they helped him, if they worked together. He also told the moles and the beavers that he wouldn't eat their babies if they helped him. So the moles and the beavers dug holes, dug and dug and dug, till they didn't dig in anymore. Not at all. But they were afraid of the owl, which ate the baby beavers of the beavers that didn't help dig the holes, an underground network of tunnels and caves. Are you with me? The orange frogs then were made to make fires under certain ponds. These ponds were the ponds where the green frogs were made to fear leaving the pond up on the ground. "Oh, why didn't they jump out the pond?" said Frank. "Like me, I couldn't stand it for 1 second. They were swimming in there. They hit the pond slowly, putting more wood on every day. The frogs in the pond don't notice it getting hotter and hotter. And one day," Felix was filling up with tears which he tried to hold back but couldn't. "They die," finished Frank. "And then the owl eats them and the orange frogs are saved," Jim carried on finishing. "Some of the boiling frogs are plucked out of the water by the owl, and then they turn blue because they get cold. These sick blue frogs are then taken to old ponds to encourage them to stay inside their ponds, so they don't discover what is going on." What? Bad owls. Bad orange frogs. We have to do something. Frank realized that when the time comes, all frogs are heroes, and it was time to be a hero. "I have an idea," croaked Frank defiantly, to the delight of Felix. Felix had never looked so green before. Now ideas are fantastic things. I guess you had one before. Most people have a lot of them. Most ideas don't make it to reality. They just float off to another world where they go into the head of someone else. It would be amazing if you could go to the worlds where discarded ideas go. I mean, some ideas go through many different worlds and many different heads before anyone does anything about them. But Frank had an idea which he really thought should manifest in the world where he was. His own world where he was not in a good place. He thought it was in a bad place because of some weird frog-producing virus. But, it was all the idea of the owl. How bad ideas can be, thought Frank. "Everything you see was just an idea," said Felix. "Even you were just hopping around in someone's imagination once upon a time." "We need to challenge this bad idea with a good idea," said Frank. "And I have that very idea," he told Felix, who was amazed by Jim's burst of energy. It's Frank's burst of energy, having only seen him depressed for the last few months. "Conga," said Frank. "What?" said Felix. "Conga," said Frank. "What do you mean conga?" asked Felix. "As in, do, come on and do the conga," said Frank. "Oh," said Felix, pretending to fully understand. "Of course." It was just an idea, but Frank could see the beauty in it, could see the fun in it and the effectiveness of it. "If my friends from my pond see us doing the conga, they will know that everything is all right. They will join us. As we do the conga from one pond to another, we will gather more and more frogs, and we will all do the conga. Froggish, of course. Then we will go to the hot ponds and invite the hot frogs. We will do the conga through the tunnels and invite the orange frogs. Then, well, who knows?" exclaimed Frank. "Who knows what congaing frogs can achieve on a full moon night?" "It sounds a bit silly," said Felix. "Exactly," said Frank, as if he had hit the nail on the head. "People love silliness and togetherness and fun, and they love freedom and knowledge and winning too. But you see, you only ever told us what was happening. We thought you were grumpy and trying to make us afraid. So if we do the conga, we can have fun, and then people will realize they are already saving themselves from the problem." Amazing, said Felix, but why do you care about the orange frogs? It is very sad they let us down, but if we show a better way, they can be amazed with us. By showing kindness, maybe they will learn how to be kind. In children's storybooks, maybe, said Felix, but not in this real world. But unless you try, the idea will be wandering through universes looking for a suitable time, place, and circumstance. And why let it wander when right here is the best place for this idea? Felix had no answer. So with that, the pair of frogs hopped off singing, "Do, do, do, come on and do the conga." They were sort of joking, but all of a sudden they noticed there were 3 more frogs behind them also singing, "Do, do, do, the conga night for sure." It's better to die singing than die fearing, said one of the frogs, not even realizing that no frog was going to die singing. So 2 became 5, 5 became 10, 10 became 50, doing the conga for no apparent reason. Some frogs joined because they were just too bored not doing it. Some frogs joined because they stopped believing the owl's blue frog story anymore. Some frogs joined because, well, why wouldn't you join in a procession of singing frogs? 20 became 50, 50 became 100. What a sight! Did you ever see such a sight? 150 frogs, 250 now, all hopping in a line, singing in froggish, the conga. Do, 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 come on and do the conga. The owl pounced. Scrog! It scrogged. Usually it was twit-twoo, but when they attacked, they scrog. Just as the owl threatened to pounce on one oblivious frog, the frog behind jumped on the owl's head. And in fact, it happened a few times. The frogs protected themselves from the attack of the owls, who were obviously annoyed that the frogs were singing again. 200 became 2,500. Wow. They made their way past pond after pond, picking up frogs like a magnet picks up iron filings. The frogs had had enough of not moving, not singing. All of a sudden there was a singing frog revolution, and this happy green line made its way to the hot ponds. Welcome back, kitties and big kitties. This is part 2 of boiling frogs and the conga. Now my iPhone is charged. 250 became 2,500. Wow. They made their way past pond after pond, picking up frogs like magnet picks up iron filings. The frogs had had enough of not moving, not singing, and all of a sudden there was a singing frog revolution. And this happy green line made its way to the hot ponds. Down the tunnels they hopped, to the surprise of the orange frogs. They were embarrassed, ashamed. But the green frog said, "Come on," and the orange frogs joined. The frogs in the hot pond hopped out. The happiness of the conga was too much to pass up, and in hopping out, the frogs became free from all their fear. The other frogs gave them clothes so they didn't get cold. And as you know, when you have no fear, you can understand everything clearly. So, as the frogs did the conga, they also realized why they were doing the conga. And as they did the conga and realized why they're doing the conga, they also felt so much happiness in doing and realizing why they were doing the conga. And that brought more and more frogs out, till there were so many frogs that humans in human world could see a little green line on Google Earth. They danced for days and nights and decided that every year they would have Frog Conga Day to celebrate the release from the owl's hot plot of boiling the frogs. Frank looked at Felix. "I guess we should always be careful when we are told to be careful." "Yes," croaked Felix, and hopped into a beautiful lily pad. Well, why wouldn't you if you were a happy free frog? This concludes Boiling Frogs and the Conga. Hope you enjoy.